Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're doing Mercury in Taurus. Got my rings on, I have my earrings on, I have my makeup on, my lip, my cocoa period. We're doing Mercury in Taurus, and then in my next video that I'm going to post right after this video, I'm going to post Mercury in Taurus through the houses, because everybody can have the Mercury in Taurus, but it's going to be displayed differently depending on the house that it's in. So we have Taurus, right? We have this sensual, fixated, earthy, Venusian ruled, earth sign, right? And then we have Mercury, this very quick, informative, giving out information, processing information, in a very quick way, but how do we do it type of planet, you know? When I say all of that by Taurus, as I said, is an earth sign, you know. Earth meaning they're practical people, you know. They do things depending on if it makes sense. Does it make sense? I mean, sure, we can go bungee jumping, but does it, like, what is the purpose of that? Like, why are we doing that? What is the practical purpose of it, you know? Or like, I'm hungry, so the practical thing to do when I'm hungry is to eat. See, it makes sense. Things that make sense. It's not more so like a fire sign where it's all about the vision or the passion, or I see something and I'm really passionate about doing this, so let me just go ahead and do it even though I don't have a plan or I haven't really thought about it that much, you know. Earth signs, along, because Taurus is an earth sign, like all the other earth signs, and even the air, maybe not the air signs, but earth signs are more so, they're thinking about it, but their process is a lot more quick. Like an air sign, they'll think about things, but it's more so abstract, you know. So they might have a specific thought, like, for example, let's say an air sign wants to make food, like a sandwich, because they're hungry, right? So an air sign, they may think, okay, you know, the regular way, we just get bread, butter, I don't know, whatever they put there. Like, I don't know, bread, butter, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever, right? Cool. But then an air sign would be like, let me cut it, not necessarily diagonally, but almost diagonally, so it looks like a rhombus. Let me cut my sandwiches in a rhombus so it looks cool. But then, like, because it's abstract, like, that's air signs. They think very, like, unique, weird, but, like, in the earth, but not really in the earth, because they're in the earth, but they're also in the water, but they're also, like, helping the fire, but they just everywhere. So it's gonna be like this abstract idea concept that they're gonna have about how to make a sandwich or something. But an earth sign, they, like, their practical way of doing something would be, okay, I'm hungry, so let me make food. Like, but what am I gonna make? I'm gonna make bread, and I'm gonna have cheese, and I'm gonna have this, and let me just cut it like the regular or diagonal or vertical way or horizontal, because it's really the same thing, you know what I'm saying? It won't be as, like, flamboyant or whatever, especially with Taurus energy. Maybe like a Virgo would do something like kind of cool, whatever, but at the same time, like, a Taurus could do that if they have like an Aquarius rising or Aquarius Mars, maybe, or Aquarius Venus, something like that, you know. Or maybe even if it's in the 11th house, they might do some weird shit like that, you know. But generally, like, the Taurus energy in general, like how they construct their everyday life, is very simple. It makes sense. It's practical. It's like fixated also, but it's also like consistent in how it does things, you know. It doesn't really like to be spontaneous. And once again, like, this is just the energy of Taurus in general, not necessarily speaking about you, because you could have Aries and changes your whole chart, or you could have, like I said, Aquarius, or you could have Gemini, you could have like a whole bunch of things that will alter your whole birth chart. But just generally speaking of the Mercury in Taurus and the Taurus energy journey, putting that together, we have somebody who thinks very simply, or who tries to simplify everything that they think about, or who tries to kind of get to the, I guess, the most foundational, simplified concept of something. That's Mercury in Taurus people, you know. But because Venus is there, they also try to say something in a lot more harmonious way, right? Or a lot more slower, so it makes sense. Or maybe not slow, not to say that they speak slowly, even though Taurus Mercuries can speak very slowly if they don't speak, like, if they don't speak at all. Taurus, listen, Mercury and Taurus people, the type of people, they're not like a Mercury and Gemini where they'll say the very first thing that comes into their head. Unless they have like a Gemini moon, then that would be, or Gemini Venus, then that would be modified differently. Or if they are a Gemini, because, you know, Mercury can only be in the sign before or after itself. So if I'm a Virgo, I can only have a Mercury in Virgo or Libra or Leo. you know. So people who have Mercury in Taurus can either be Tauruses or Geminis or Aries, right? But depending on if you're an Aries or a Gemini, then you're not, I mean, of course you're gonna have that fast talk, but you know how to kind of like slow down and like put yourself back just to see what are all these thoughts. Like, okay, I'm receiving all this information, but let's see, like, how can I practicalize this information, or what, like, all this information that I'm getting, is it making sense? Like, how can I make it make sense also, or how can I make it like digestible in a way that's like, okay, this is like in let me say, how can I make this digestible in the most simple way? Mercury and Taurus people, as I said, they're not the type of people that are going to be very quick to like respond to you, or very quick to they're not like Geminis or Aries where they have a very quick comeback. You know, you say one thing, they say another thing right after. You say one thing, they no. Mercury and Taurus are very steady with everything. Taurus energy, we have to remember, Taurus energy is very steady with anything. So for them to even learn a concept, for them to even like I don't know, be in an argument, they have to really digest what you are saying, so that they, in their minds, they can like, they have to make sure it makes sense to them. And for them to respond, they have to make sure that their response is going to make sense to you also. Or they have to simplify their thoughts in such a way that like, it's like, oh, okay, now I get that, I can do that. It's like making it very, I feel like I really could end this video right here, because it's really, Mercury and Taurus are all about what is, like, how can you know, some people, they can speak, like, for an air sign, they could say so many things at once, and like it could just spiral. They could say one thing and then it goes there and up there and up there and then Mercury and Tauruses know how to kind of take what you meant or what really matters and then formulate that into like the most simple way in the like ever, dude. That's it. That's the video, guys. Goodbye. But no, that's literally it. Like, Mercury and Taurus is just, for them to even, and you know, I've noticed something about Mercury and Taurus is that they usually don't like to, they don't talk much, obviously, yes, but they don't, it's like they don't really like to entertain things that don't get to the point. They're kind of like Mercury and Aries in that sense, but Mercury and Aries, they might straight up tell you, dude, what the fuck, I don't care, or why, just get to the point. Like, a Mercury and Aries will tell you that, just get to the point, straight up. A Mercury and Taurus won't really say that, because of that Venusian aspect to them, where they don't really want to hurt your feelings unless it's warranted, or unless it makes sense to them to say that, regardless of if it hurts your feelings or not. Because in their minds it'd be like, yeah, this is the most logical, practical way of telling you to just get to the fucking point. Because for so many times I've ever spoken to you, you always say things like this, and the most practical solution-based thing I can give you right now, conclusion I can give you right now, is just to tell you, dude, get to the point. Like, no one cares about anything else you're saying. And see, very simple. Very simple. But I think when it comes from them, you kind of, it won't be like a Mercury in Aries where you might get like, you might feel like, oh wow, you're just an asshole, you don't care about anybody else. Like, for a Mercury in Taurus, you'll kind of get the, you'll get the sense that, okay, it's like, with a Mercury and Taurus, you'll really feel like they came to this conclusion to help you. It's not most like a Mercury in Aries or even Mercury in Gemini, where you can kind of get the sense like, oh, okay, they're speaking their mind, but it's not necessarily in a way of like, you know, my best interest. Like, a Mercury in Taurus they'll give you constructive criticism or advice, or, you know, they'll come up with a practical conclusion of, okay, today I've had enough. You need to know how I feel. Like, let me give you a piece of my mind. But I'm doing this so that you know where I stand, or you know where everybody else, maybe not everybody else, but you know how, like, I perceive you, you know. So with that information and with that feedback that they're giving you, you'll get the sense like, oh, okay, they're just like, you know, like, they're trying to help me, or they're trying to give me some constructive, making sense, you know, practical criticism about like why I'm saying things so much and why I'm never getting to the point, and why, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that type of thing. And that's something that I think we can all appreciate from Mercury and Tauruses. But other than that, because of that, like, even in school, like, these are the type of people, like, I would say probably need more time to study. Like, maybe they're not the type of people that can study before the test, or they can study before something. These are the type of people that kind of need to take their time with like digesting information. If you have Taurus energy in you, you have a beautiful voice regardless. Even if like you don't know how to sing, like just you talking is beautiful. But I feel like most Tauruses know how to sing, even if they're not musicians or they're not trying to be a musician. Like they naturally have beautiful voices. They naturally know how to like, it's like they have soothing, calm voices, you know. And that calmness just comes from how steady and how like still they are, you know. They're not like frantic and manic like a Gemini. You know, they're very steady, and you can always tell from just them speaking how in control they are of their inner world, and how, and like I said, this is just Mercury. The moon will obviously differentiate different things, but just them speaking, you'll kind of get the sense like, damn, like you're so just so like you know Sade, you know how she's a Capricorn, by the way, right? I don't know how, she's a Aries moon, but she probably could have been a Taurus moon depending on other things, whatever. But like just how she speaks, she's so like sure of herself, and she's very sure of what she's saying, and you know, she doesn't sound like, it's not like Gemini way they can have a little bit of information and they can like pretend like they know everything. Like a Mercury and Taurus, they won't do that. Like they won't even contribute to a conversation if they don't really know what they're saying. Like they're not going to cap about it, you know. They're not going to pretend like they know something when they don't know. They might, I don't even think they'd ask you. They're not like Aquarius way. They may not know anything, but they might sit there and listen to you and be like, wow. Okay, let me say this. A Mercury and Taurus people, if you start talking about something that they don't know about, it's like they'll sit there, kind of look at you like, in a very blank face though, like, oh wow, I don't know anything you're saying. But it's like while they're listening to you, they kind of like zone out, just because, or maybe not zone out, they'll listen to you, but in a way of like not really caring, because they haven't figured out that information themselves. And even if they have known, and if they haven't applied that particular topic into their own lives, and if it doesn't really contribute in them making money, or if it doesn't contribute to them like doing anything in life, then they won't really care to know more, you know. Because once again, it's all about practicality. It's like, okay, this information is great, but what is it gonna do for me? Like, what is it gonna do for my life? What is it gonna do for my family? You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Unless maybe they're like maybe a Gemini where they're a lot more social, where they'll kind of wanna, maybe not kind of, but they'll be a lot more down to listen to you and a lot more keen on listening to what you have to say. But for the most part, if they don't really know like what the topic is or what people are talking about, they'll probably just keep quiet, you know. They'll just sit there and like just stare at you like, oh, okay. And if you're like a Libra maybe, or a Gemini, or like maybe not a Leo, because a Leo knows how to like add fuel to whatever environment they're in. But let me say, if you're a Libra most of all, and you kind of need, or maybe not say a Libra, let's say you have 7th house placements, you know, or whatever, and you need that kind of like bounce back kind of information, and you don't get that from a Taurus, you'll kind of feel like, oh, okay, I guess they're not interested in me, or I guess they don't like me. But it's not necessarily that they don't like you. It's just for them to even contribute to a conversation, they have to know what to contribute, and they want to be sure about what it is that they're contributing in general, you know. Like they don't want to sell you a dream, because this is like, once again, this is an earth sign, so they want to give something that actually makes sense, something that you can like be like, oh yeah, no, something like if they had to say something, you can really put it in your head and know exactly like where it came from, and you can almost taste it and feel it and like hold it, you know. That's the type of thing that a Taurus, like a Mercury and Taurus people, like those kinds of conversations, you know. And most of the time they probably like talking about things that like involve making money, or if, like, for example, let's say they're at work, you know, because once again, like they're opposite of Scorpios, and they're also trining all the water signs, so they are very private, obviously, and they are a lot more secluded and a lot more sheltered, also because of the exaltation with the moon. So I guess being personal and talking about their personal things will only come after they trust you, or maybe after there's like some kind of familiarity. But other than that, it's like if they talk to you, they're talking to you knowing that there's a point that they want to come across or bring to you. You know what I'm saying? So if you have friends like these where when you guys talk, it's about, if they make a joke, for example, it's about something that they've gone through in their lives, or something that they've experienced themselves, you know. I don't think these are people that like would, you know, sometimes, like, for example, a friend could tell you a story, and then just for the sake of a conversation, you tell that exact same story to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Mercury and Tauruses don't do shit like that, because once again, it's about how do they form. It's all about them, because this is part of the personal signs. Like Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are very personal, self-developing, personal signs, you know. But like I said, they're not gonna like do that. They won't tell somebody else's stories just for a conversation, you know, unless, like, I don't know, there's a point that they want to make to it, but they won't just do that for the sake of a conversation. They'd rather just not say anything at all, or once again, just say something that they have personally gone through themselves, or that they have, like, you know what I'm saying, that they can tangibly give you. That, and that's why they're really good at giving advice to people, because, like, once again, if, and especially if they've gone through that particular situation, like if a Mercury and Taurus has gone through a heartbreak, they'd be the first to tell you, well, dude, I mean, it does suck, and this is what happened with me, and this is what I did. And most of the time, that kind of advice is gonna, like, the themes of them giving you advice is, you'll notice that, like, it'll be like, well, that did hurt, but it, like, I couldn't stop my life, or I couldn't stop doing particular things because I still had to, like, have an income, or I still had to, you know, study for school, I still had to do A, B, C, D, F, G, so I had to, like, you know, take a painkiller and keep that shit moving. Like, it'll be that kind of theme, like those kinds of topics, or maybe not topics, but like an advice. When they give you advice, the foundation of that advice will be based on, it didn't really stop my life, I just had to take it like a champ, take a painkiller and move on with that bitch, you know. And it makes sense though, because I mean, at the same time, like I said, they are an earth sign, so they are practical. So regardless of whatever they're feeling, they have to continue doing things with, and even a Scorpio, because like I said, they are opposites. But you know, I feel like maybe a Pisces or a Cancer, they would have to, like, really take time off, not doing much, or just, you know, take time off, just crying it out and feeling out all those emotions, and kind of like putting a hold on the rest of the world just to deal with person. Like, the advice that they give you, it's always going to be based on something that makes sense, and something that has logic to it, and something that has, like, not only logic, but something that can, like, you can do it, you know. It's not just some kind of abstract thought where, you know, we can talk about anything and everything in the world. It's not something that I can envision and I can express with my body, so let me do this and this and this. They don't care about that. And it's not about, like, connecting to the emotions about, oh my god, this made me feel like this, and no. Mercury and Taurus is, what is the fact? The fact is you broke up, or the fact is, I don't know, you lost that money, but now how are you gonna gain it back? How? What are the steps now? And that's when they're, like, their thinking is, like, a lot better, when they have to come up with specific solutions, or when they have to plan events, or when they have to plan things. Because once again, one thing about the earth signs, they love planning things, and they like knowing what's going to happen before it happens. And they like having a specific routine around what they do. See, that's the thing with the Mercury and Taurus person also. Like, the way that they think is never gonna change. Or how they do things, like, it won't necessarily change. You know what I'm saying? Like, if for example, with math, you know, in mathematics, there's, like, a specific system on how you do things. Like, for, like, divisions or multiplications, you know, there's, like, a system to it. Mercury and Tauruses will like that, because it's, like, something that they can rely on, you know. Mathematics doesn't change. It's like there's a specific formula or a specific system to get a specific result, you know. And Mercury and Taurus people, as slowly as they will learn it, once they catch on to it, they won't forget it. And that's why they don't really like to change how they do specific things, because it's like, you know, everything that you learn, like, let's say you're learning an instrument, right? Let's say you're learning the guitar, right? Or you're learning ukulele. Let's say you're learning the bass guitar, right? For you to learn it, it's gonna take some time for you to learn, like, the chords and how to hold it, because also, like, you know, your fingers have to get used to holding down specific frets and all of that, and then your other hand has to, like, learn how to strum or pick or whatever, you know. So let's say a Mercury and Taurus person wants to learn the bass guitar. They have to learn. It's gonna take time, and they understand this. Okay, learning something is gonna take time, right? So let me dedicate myself to learning this one specific thing, get really good at this one specific thing before I jump into another thing. Or even if, like, I might not even want to jump into another thing if I'm going to get really good at this, you know, as opposed to learning many different things and kind of scattering yourself and scattering your brain, and then kind of, I don't know, like not having a specific focus on one thing, you know, that may kind of shake things up. And I feel like Mercury and Tauruses understand the importance of doing one thing at a time, or even just sticking to one specific thing and knowing, okay, this is what I want for the rest of my life, as opposed to being like, you know, an air sign who wants to do many different things and then like essentially starting it but never finishing it, you know. And Mercury and Tauruses understand this a lot better than most people. The importance of just like knowing what you want and going for it and doing that and dedicating your whole entire life to just doing that specific thing, you know, that type of thing. But what my point, because I forgot my point of like the whole base thing. My point was that like a Mercury and Taurus, or even just Taurus energy, understands the value of like yes, doing one thing is important, but if you think about like doing multiple things at once, that really does make you scattered, and it kind of like shifts your focus into many different things, and then you spread yourself thin, and then you get super tired and whatever, as opposed to just doing one specific thing and then getting really good at that thing and then reaping the benefits of that one thing while you add more energy to that one specific thing, as opposed to adding energies to multiple different things. And don't get me mistaken, like obviously other signs like Geminis or even Pisces, maybe, or Aquarius, they can kind of, you know, multitask and do it really well, especially if they have like air and earth, like maybe Gemini and maybe Capricorn, or Pisces and Capricorn, where they can do many different things and then they can kind of put it all together as like one great art piece, that type of thing, you know. Like a Mercury and Taurus, or even just Taurus energy, they may not be good at that, and they can appreciate that from afar, but they know themselves like it's better to just do one specific thing, get good at that one specific thing, as opposed to like just, you know, as I said, scattering yourself and then like losing focus, you know. And I feel like they feel that way with people too. Not always, because I mean, you know, a man is a man is a man. And I feel like we are in the Aquarius age, so like what the fuck is monogamy anyway? But I feel like if a Mercury in Taurus, maybe the foundations of the Taurus energy is a lot more like one specific energy orientated, you know, one person or one career. Let me do this one thing for the rest of my life. Let me have this one person for the rest of my life. Let me have this one favorite food for the rest of my life. This one house that I don't want to move out of regardless of whatever for the rest of my life, you know. And that's the thing with like the change, because obviously it is fixated, so like changing does take a lot more time. That's why a lot of Mercury and Taurus is like, if like I said, Taurus energy, if they, for example, in high school, they develop like a drinking habit, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to like stop drinking, and then they can fall into alcoholism. Or if they do heroin, then they may be a heroin addict. It's a lot more difficult for them to get out of their habits than it will be for like any other sign, you know, just because of that fixation. Especially if they have like, if that specific vice that they have used has helped them numb their feelings, or it has helped them get through specific situations in their heads subconsciously, they have formulated like their roots have formulated within that specific habit. And even just anything, think about this with anything, like when a Taurus Mercury does something, they have to plant their actual roots in that. And it's just, think about how difficult it would be for them to rip out those roots, because then there's gonna be like a whole it's gonna be hollow and empty there, you know. So they have to fill it up with things that I guess are more healthier or whatever, and that filling up does take time. So if something takes time and they already have a specific thing that has helped them, regardless of if it's good or bad, they're just gonna fucking stick around doing that one thing, regardless of if it's like self-sabotaging or not, you know, just because it helps or it works, you know. And it's gonna take a long time for them to pull out those roots, if they choose to, or if they have many people around them that are like, dude, you should probably do that, you know. It's gonna take a while for them to pull that root out and then plant something new, because once again, things take time, and they understand the whole process of everything taking time. So for them, it might be like, oh damn, I have to stop smoking weed and what's the substitute weed with like tea, fuck. damn, now I have to find something else that I like doing on a regular basis. And I already like doing weed, so why the fuck should I stop smoking weed? Like, what's up with that? Or maybe if they stop smoking weed and they smoke cigarettes because that's still the same thing, then maybe like, okay, it's fine. Like, it's a lot better to stop smoking weed and like substitute weed for smoking cigarettes because it's still smoking, you know. So then you have that particular habit. But just for the mere fact that they have a very strong tie to anything that they do on a daily basis, it's difficult for them to get out of that rut or get out of that specific. It doesn't even have to be a rut. You could even like Taurus. I had an ex best friend who was a Taurus sun sign, and her Mercury was in Taurus. Yeah, her Mercury was in Taurus, and from a very young age, she was very depressed. Right, she was very depressed, and I mean, yeah, don't come for me because I know depression is a whole thing. But let me say, certain specific signs or specific placements might get over it a lot quicker, or they might seek help and then, you know, kind of develop habits around growing out of that, and then they eventually do, right? But a Mercury and Taurus person, if they have heavy roots like planted in whatever feeling, like either being depressed or even liking someone, oh my god, like, yeah, but if they have roots planted deeply in whatever that they do, it's gonna be really difficult to get out of that, you know. Or they may even just learn to live with it. Like I was gonna say, when I was saying, oh my god, I was thinking of my auntie who is a Taurus with her Mercury in Taurus and her Venus in Taurus. And you guys, let me tell you, right, my auntie dated one guy when she was in university, right? And this guy was a fucking hoe. He was a hoe, okay? And she found out eventually, right? And how she found out was in a really iffy way because parents were involved in all of that. And it was devastating. Like, she was heartbroken. And, you know, usually you get heartbroken, whatever, you take some time off. You know, some people, it takes a lot longer for them to heal out of situations, you know, especially fixed signs. Especially Tauruses, right? It takes a lot for them to heal, but, like, apart from being a Taurus, like other signs, it will take a while for them to heal, you know, get over it, whatever. And then they're like, fuck it, I'm back on the dating scene. Or let me also get my kink on, whatever. My auntie said no. To this day. Now imagine she was in university. That was like back in 80 or 90 something. Yeah, I think 1990. I don't even know. She's like, I think it was 1980 something. That's when she was in university. Maybe 1990 she was in university, and then whatever. Since 1990, when they broke up, she hasn't dated anybody. Till this day, she still speaks about that guy that she dated. You know why? Because she's a fixed Taurus. Okay? And nothing. My mom, my fucking other aunties, her cousin, they can say anything, but she won't change her mind. She's like, I don't want to date nobody, because really she wanted that guy. And that's the thing with Taurus Mercuries, or just Taurus energy. They can stick with someone who's abusive, who's a rapist, who's a what. If they have planted their foundations and their roots into a specific relationship or into whatever habit, they sticking for it for the long haul. They there regardless of whatever you do, bro. You could literally beat them up, my guy. And hopefully not, because I mean, this is the Aquarius age, so we know better now, you know. We know when to leave because we value ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And we go to therapy and we journal and we do yoga because we love ourselves, okay? And we're trying to heal from childhood trauma. But my auntie, you guys, she said no, she's not dating anyone. She's dead. She's a Jehovah's Witness also, so and no one can change her mind. Nobody can change her mind. She has a specific routine. She's worked at the same place for like mad years. She, you know, she still she still lives in the exact same house that she grew up in. You know, like her parents died, so she still lives in that house. She still enjoys the same food she did enjoy when she was like mad young. She still works at the same job she was when she finished university. I think she still drives the same car. I'm not too sure. I haven't seen her mad long, but she still does the same shit. Like, still goes to church and like they have like specific things on the weekdays, like, you know, Bible studies on weekdays. She still does that since. She still does the same shit, and no one can tell her nothing. But the good news, she's still really sweet. You know, she's a very giving human being. She's very considerate. She doesn't like to change other people. Like, her conversations are very light and are very informative. You know, she's very, like, she'll only speak if she actually has something to say. And that's really Mercury and Taurus people. They only say something if they actually have something constructive to say. And not just for the sake of saying something. Or saying something stupid just to say something. Nah, that's not them. You know, everything has to, like I said, everything has to be concrete, and everything has to have a specific like a point to it, you know, and a constructive point to it, and something that you're confident in saying. Like Taurus and Mercury say it with their chest, bro. That's it. Anything that they say, they're gonna say with their chest and their beautiful voices, because they do have a beautiful voice, you know. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this particular video, Mercury in Taurus. In my next video, I'm gonna do Mercury in Taurus through the houses, so you know, check that out. And thank you for watching. And once again, if you'd like to support this channel, please, my link for PayPal will be down below, and that will be much appreciated. And I'll see you in my next video.